Are you ready for the zombie killing apocalypse? Grandma sure was. Holy crap, man. You go out to any like hardware store anywhere in the United States and it's like a zombie killing playland. I don't know what this is. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Actery Magic Channel. I'm Steve, the Actery. Today we're going to be talking about the zombie king himself, the brand new, the hotness. That is Wilhelt. Oh my goodness. Guys, I'm so excited about this. Let's talk about the zombies that are best for Wilhelt, and let's get into it. So, stay to the end. We'll have some combos, but check him out. Wilhelt the Rotcleaver is a 4-drop 3/3 zombie warrior. 1 black, 1 blue, 2 generic. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. If you're not familiar, Decayed means it can't block, and whenever it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie. If you do, draw a card. Sacrificing a zombie isn't really a downside in this deck. All right, so today we're going to be addressing mostly the cards that don't come with Wilhelt in his pre-con. Go check out the pre-con list. It's got some good reprints in there. Still not enough in my opinion, but let's get into it. So the utility cards that I found that I really enjoyed are Zombie Cannibal and Entrails Feaster, rather. Zombie Carnival is a 1-drop 1/1. Whenever Zombie Cannibal deals combat damage to a player, you may remove target card in that player's graveyard from the game. Oh, that's just good business. It gets rid of flashback cards. It gets rid of anything, basically, that's in a graveyard that might be problematic. However, Entrails Feaster is a 1-drop as well. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may remove a creature card from in a graveyard from the game if you do put a 1/1 counter on Entrails Feaster. If you don't, tap it. That's cool. And it's almost like there's always going to be a target for Entrails Feaster, even if you don't play it on turn 1 or you play it on turn 1. It's not really hurting you by just sitting out there. And it's just going to start removing things at the beginning of your upkeep anyway. It's just a really, really good card. All right, next up we have Even Death Dracolich. They're like, Steven, why is this a utility card? Well, I think it's a utility card because it keeps your graveyard active, an active threat for your opponents all the time. He's a 2 black, 2 generic, 5/2 zombie dragon flash with flying flash dude. He enters battlefield tapped. Okay. Whenever you may cast Even Death Dracolich from your graveyard if a creature not named Even Death Dracolich died this turn. That's your creatures and that's your opponent's creatures. Any creature. And in the commander format, things die all the time. So Even Death Dracolich is just going to be a steady reminder, I'm trying to kill you. Anyway, Balfour the Defiled, he is a 4-drop as well, 2 black, 2 generic, 2/2 zombie dwarf legend. All minions get +1/1. Whatever. Should have been zombies. Anyway, triple black, remove Balfour the Defiled from the game. Each player returns all black and all red creatures from his or her graveyard to play. I think that's pretty sweet. Because the likelihood, like, you're basically eliminating 3/5 of the color pie from being reanimated, but I think it's a really, really powerful play to just return only the red and the black creatures from graveyards to play, and that's even your opponent, so be careful about this card. But it's something that can be timed, and I really, really like it, and it gives us back a huge board state that the opponents may not have access to. I like it a lot. Now let's talk about some card draw. All right, Laboratory Drudge is a 1 blue, 3 generic, 3/4, also not in the list for the commander. He's a zombie horror. At the beginning of each end step, you draw a card if you've cast a spell from a graveyard or activated an ability of a card in a graveyard. So if you've cast a Grave Crawler, or if you've returned something from the graveyard, or you've done some flashback or something like that, you're going to be able to get to draw an extra card. I like this card. It's going to be something that you kind of have to build around, but I really like Laboratory Drudge because it's just incidental value. Crypt Breaker is a 1 black 1/1. It says tap black and a generic, discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Cool. Tap 3 untapped zombies you control. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. So we can use all those decayed zombies that we're creating with Crypt Breaker to start drawing us some cards. This is just great value, and you don't have to have haste or anything like that to be able to use Crypt Breaker's ability. Very cool. Aggro, in case you guys want to go that route, let's talk about it. Dread Wanderer is a 1-drop 2/1, enters battlefield tapped. You return it to you can return from your hand to the battlefield, or sorry, from the graveyard to the battlefield, and only anytime you can cast a sword, and only if you have one or fewer cards in hand. It's kind of a last-ditch effort for that return, but we really don't care about that. We really care about the aggro, and it's going to get bigger and put early game pressure on our opponents. Diagraph Ghoul, Dungeon Crawler, both of those are the same kind of idea. This is if you want to go that aggro route. You want to start beating face early. Now, next up for our aggro list, we have White, which is a 3/2 zombie that enters battlefield tapped for a black and a generic. It says whenever creature dealt damage by White this turn dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token and exile that card. One of the things I want to note is that a lot of things in black give us death touch. So if we're giving White death touch by somehow other means, and I think we have a Lord in the deck, I forget the name, but if we give our zombies death touch, then we can certainly start getting creatures back with White. At the very minimum, we're gonna get something like another just a 2/2 zombie. Carrion Feeder, this is an early game card that really combos well with Gravecrawler. We'll talk about him later. He's 1 black, can't block, sack a creature, put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. Just good business. If we have Gravecrawler, then this means that we can just dump all of our black mana into pumping Carrion Feeder and just make a big dude. Lords. Okay, Blade Stitch Scab is a lord that didn't make it into the pre-con, which is kind of silly to me. But it's 1 black, 1 blue, 2/3. Other zombies you control get +1/+0. Cool. Lord of the Undead is probably about a $15 card. It's 3 mana, double black, 1 generic. Zombie 2/2. Other zombies creatures get +1/+1. Now, that's all zombies. So if you happen to be in the mirror match, just be aware of that. Tap, add a black and generic, return target zombie card from your graveyard to your hand. Just good business. It keeps you in the loop with getting your value back. Next up on our Lord's list, we have Risen Executioner. This is a 4-drop 4/3, a double black, 2 generic, and I wouldn't have guessed that there was a whole lot of zombie support in Dragons of Tarkir, but here he is. He can't block. Other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. You may cast Risen Executioner from your graveyard if you pay 1 more to cast it for each other card in your creature card in your graveyard. So if there's no other creature cards, he's going to cost 4, and you just get to play him. If there's 2 other creature cards, it's going to cost you 6. So there is some drawbacks, but he's pretty cool. I like him. I like the fact that you can get him back, especially if your graveyard's empty. Undead Warchief is a double black, 2 generic. Zombie spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That would also apply to Risen Executioner, just whenever he's coming back from the graveyard. Zombie creatures you control get +2/+1. So this is probably the biggest power we're going to get out of a Zombie Lord, and Undead Warchief is really great. It kind of makes up for Zombie Master not having any +1/+1. It's a double black, 1 generic, 2/3. It's a zombie, by the way. It says all other zombies gain pay 1 black and regenerate and swamp walk. Really, really good card to pair up with Urborg, for the record. Next up, we have some reanimation. This is going to be stuff that we can use like a repeatable reanimation. I really like Deathlord of the Vault, and I think that he's kind of an underrated commander card. He's a 6-drop, 2 black, 4 generic. It's a 5/5 zombie Intimidate. This creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share color with it, so black creatures. X in black, put target artifact or creature card with converted mana cost X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped. Then that player mills X cards. This is a really cool card. It's not reserved to sorcery speed. It can be done at instant speed. It's milling your opponent. It's getting value out of their graveyard. It can get mana rocks. Very cool card. I don't know why it doesn't see more play. I like it. Havengul Lich is a 5-drop, 1 blue, 1 black, 3 generic, 4/4 zombie wizard. Pay 1, you may cast target creature card in a graveyard this turn. When you cast that card, Havengul Lich gains all activated abilities of that card until end of turn. So we're not really concerned with gaining all those abilities, but man, being able to cast any creature card from any graveyard is really, really great. Now, it doesn't mana fix. So that's an interesting thing to note. So you're only going to be able to get artifact creatures, black creatures, and blue creatures, really, because your mana is only going to be able to cast those spells. So that's a little bit of a downside unless you have things like Command Tower to help you out. Next up, we have Relentless Dead is a double black 2/2 zombie. It's like a $20 card. And he says, Menace, when Relentless Dead dies, you may pay 1 black. If you do, return it to its owner's hand. Cool. Whenever it dies, you may pay X. If you do, return another target zombie card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. He's a reanimator on a body that encourages you to kill him, that helps you recast your stuff, reanimates him, or brings himself back to your hand. He's just good. So good. Then we have the Scarab God, which is a 5-drop. It's a 5/5 black, blue, 3 generic god. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. Great. Black, blue, 2 generic, exile target creature card from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. You can start reanimating your opponent's stuff with the Scarab God. I just realized my friends have been playing this wrong. They've only been reanimating their own crap. This is whenever he dies, return to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So hard to get rid of. Opponents hate to see him. He's awesome. All right, lastly, we have Coffin Queen. She's a 1 black, 2 generic, 1/1. You may choose not to untap her during your untap step. A black, a 2 generic tap. Put target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under your control. Whenever Coffin Queen becomes untapped, you lose control of Coffin Queen. Exile that creature. Very, very cool. I like it. I think it's like a $15 card. Very cool. Now, our big threats are White of Precinct 6 and Soulless One. White of Precinct 6 is a 1 black, 1 generic. It says when he gets +1/1 for each creature card in your opponent's graveyard. So if we're running any amount of board wipe, this dude's just going to be huge whenever he hits the board. Soulless One is going to be huge no matter what, unless they're exiling your graveyard. It's 1 black, 3 generic, XX. Or sorry, star. His power and toughness are each equal number of zombies on the battlefield plus the number of zombies in all graveyards. The dude is dirty. The only thing I would say is trying to give him menace or some kind of trample or something like that so you can finally connect with him. Another big threat, this guy's hot off the presses, Champion of the Perished. If you don't know Champion of the Parish, it's a great pun here with Champion of the Parish. Anyway, he's a 1-drop, 1/1. Whenever another zombie enters battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of the Parish. Just good business, man. There's no reason not to be playing this guy. Then we have Grim, Corpse Born. It's a 1 black, 1 blue, 3 generic, 5/5. When he enters battlefield tapped, it doesn't untap during your untap step. Sacrifice another creature. Zombies, we don't care. Untap it and put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever he attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls, then put a 1/1 counter on Grim. This dude's going to get rid of your creatures on the opponent's side, and he's going to be huge. By the time he actually connects, he's going to be a 7/7. So cool. Next up, our combos. I've talked about this combo in the previous video about this commander. Gravecaller is a 1 black, and he says can't block, but you may cast him from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. Phyrexian Altar says sack a creature, add 1 mana of any color. So you sacrifice Gravecrawler to get a black mana. You recast Gravecrawler with that black mana, and you get to infinitely cast Gravecrawler over and over and over again, and then you have infinite death triggers and infinite enter the battlefield triggers. So for instance, Champion of the Parish here will now be an infinite size creature. But it is interesting to note that if you have your commander out, you're also going to be creating a 2/2 decayed creature every time you complete the infinite cycle. So now you can sacrifice those infinite 2/2s to Phyrexian Altar to generate infinite mana, or you can use those infinite creatures to just attack your opponents, which is another way. It's just very good. Another combo that I've talked about on this channel before is Esarirak. I can never say that name. The Archlich is 1 black, 2 generic. It says a zombie wizard. Whenever it enters battlefield, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, return Esarirak to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. Okay, so basically we choose any of the other, so there's 3 dungeons. You choose either of the 2 other dungeons, and now as you complete them, you can make one of them actually makes your opponent lose 1 life and you gain 1 life. And Rooftop Storm is going to allow us to keep casting Esarirak, the Archlich, over and over and over again. It says you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells you cast. So we're going to keep bouncing Esarirak back to our hand. We're going to keep casting him for 0 over and over and over again, and then we're going to infinitely play, or not infinitely, because you will deck yourself. One of them has a draw mechanic at the end. And so just be aware that this is another great combo to include in your zombie build. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much. Please comment, like, and share, and subscribe. I've got more videos on the channel. I would love it if you go and watch those. Thank you so much for coming out. Have a good day. Where's the button?